Hello and welcome back to Helluva Podcast. We are off hiatus. I'm Alex.
I'm Audie. The O is silent. I thought you weren't going to do it for a second, and I was really scared because I hate change.
Real. You're just really committed to your bit that doesn't really make sense.
It's close enough that, like, I get it, you get it, they all get it. But, yeah.
Yeah. Anyway, welcome back. We haven't recorded in so long.
It is, July. And we last recorded in May, I presume? Sometime in May?
I think so, yeah.
Because that's when we were last at school.
Yeah.
But, yeah, it's been a hot minute. A lot has happened in the Helluva community since then.
Yeah.
Last time we recorded, Full Moon wasn't out yet.
Yeah, it was... whatever it was before. Unhappy... No.
No. Mammon's Magnificent
Oh my
mid-season
god.
musical. Yeah.
I keep forgetting about those two episodes being season 2, which is crazy.
Yeah.
Because they're some of my favorite episodes.
Should I burp into the mic? Should I burp into the mic?
No one wants to hear that.
I burp, and I wanted to know if I should, like, lean into it, or... Okay.
Anyway, so...
yeah, anyway,
We're going back. You looked first, so I thought you were gonna take the lead, and then you just stared blankly at the screen.
You went anyways, so, and then we were quiet for a second, so I was like, oh, I got this. Anyways, so, and then I just...
didn't do anything. Okay, so, we're back to bi-weekly releases now.
Yes.
Sorry, I just... into the mic.
Starting today.
This
is our
so
first time
every
back.
2 weeks, you're gonna get a post until we're caught up. Mm-hmm. And then if we have extra time between the release in October and when we're caught up with the entire show, which is so exciting, that hasn't ever happened, we will be doing bonus content, but that might not be every 2 weeks. We'll keep you updated, though. That's a whiles away.
Yeah. But for now, today, we're talking about Western Energy.
True.
And most recent episode, as of now, is Apology Tour. Which, again, the fact that Full Moon and Apology Tour have come out since the last time we recorded is fucking insane.
Yeah.
Also, it's summer and we're in person. That's exciting. Last summer we did fucking Discord podcast.
And, y'all, I am so sorry. I've been editing the podcast and putting it on YouTube with, like, the visual thing, so I can put it on YouTube and not be a podcast, it'd be a video. Anyway, and the quality of those Discord ones, my god, they're horrible.
Yeah, but now we don't have to do that because Alex is in my humble home, and I really have to burp.
Just do it off the mic.
Okay, I did it.
Okay.
Sorry, they need to know.
They need to know.
Yeah. Also, y'all have been fucking crazy with listening to our podcast and supporting our silly endeavors and shit.
Like, we appreciate it, but also, this is a silly little fan podcast about a show about silly little demons.
Yeah, but we have over 300 Spotify followers, over 4,000 all-time listens on Spotify, and over 10,000 Spotify impressions.
That means 10,000 clicks on our stupid little podcast.
Yeah, which is insane. So thank you.
Yeah, and also in the last few months, we've gotten like 4 or 5 people reach out on Instagram and talking to us. And we appreciate all of you so much. We've talked to you guys individually a little bit, but we do appreciate, like, if you're not one of those people and you want to reach out, we love hearing from people. And also, if you are one of those people, we appreciate that you reached out. It was really fun chatting with you.
Yeah. At AA Discussions on Instagram.
Yep.
We've got a lot of business. It's been a while. There's still stickers on our big cartel. We'll say more on that at the end. The next episode that'll be coming out is Season 2, Episode 10, Ghost Fuckers. That's the next episode of Helluva Boss, not of our podcast.
Yeah, we're doing bi-weekly, and also we're not posting till October.
We're hoping to be caught up with the show by the time that episode comes out.
Yeah, and that comes out in October. And also, another silly little note of business is, I talked a little bit about how I wrote an essay about has-been and about gay male abuse and sexual assault and all of that representation in has-been. It's like 15 pages long. It's crazy. But that essay, fully unabridged, is available on my Substack now, and it will be sent out in the newsletter, so join the newsletter, and I'll also probably post it on the story on the Instagram. So, follow the Instagram, subscribe to the newsletter. Yeah.
And we'll reiterate all that stuff at the end with more details if you need them. But if you're not following the Instagram by now, what are you doing?
Yeah, what are you doing?
Come on.
All right.
Okay, we have a lot of notes.
7 pages typed.
We're gonna try and get through this whole episode, but it is, full disclosure, 11 p.m.
Yep.
So, we'll see what happens.
Yeah. I will say that a lot of our notes are silly because I wrote them. So there's a lot of things that we're going to be like, oh yeah, so this really deep, emotional thing. And then also, tiny teapot.
Yeah, right off the bat, tiny little imp holding a teapot.
Yeah, that is our first note.
That is our first note.
Because we open on the cafe with Stolas and Stella, and there's an imp holding the teapot and pouring their tea, and he is the littlest one we've seen. He is so small.
Itty bitty.
The teapot is bigger than him.
The teapot's bigger. Honestly, me for real.
And Audie added the, making a small amount with your fingers emoji.
Yeah.
He's that big.
He's that big. Next note we have, bitchy Stolas.
Better than anything, a million times.
Better than anything, most amazing. Just literally, the episode opens, Stella goes, Stolas, and then he goes, Stella! Like the little cunt bird.
And then she says something, I forget, and then he calls her a cunt, no?
I think...
But it bleeps it?
I thought she called him a cunt.
Oh. Either way,
yeah.
Cunt is dropped in the first 5 seconds of the episode.
Yeah, which is the only word they have to bleep on Helluva, which is so funny. YouTube really hates this word.
Also, this episode specifically, even though they have to bleep it every single time, they say it so much.
They do!
In this episode in particular.
Yeah.
But we'll get into that later. Mm-hmm. And then on Stolas' phone, we see an Ozzy's deal reminder.
Yeah.
So that implies that he missed the meeting during this episode because he got his shit fucking rocked.
Yeah. I think it says, meeting with Ozzy at 1 p.m. or something like that, so it was that day. And obviously, that didn't happen because homie got kidnapped and tortured.
Yeah, right. But he does have that meeting later. And I wonder how that all went down, if he had to reach back out to Ozzy and be like, hey, I got the shit beaten out of me. Yeah. Sorry, I can't make our meeting.
I do wish this show would show us more of the transitional moments sometimes. Mm-hmm. After this episode dropped, I was like, wow, so how long is Stolas gonna be in the hospital? How is he gonna reschedule this deal with Ozzy? And then we didn't get to see any of that, and I get it, but I was looking forward to I don't know, the angst of Stolas being bedridden in a hospital and then reaching out to Ozzy and rescheduling that meeting, and they just kind of work it out off screen, which is fine.
Yeah, and I think a lot of that gets written off to the fact that it's Blitz's show, but also we see other characters' stuff happen. I feel like it mostly comes down to it's an independently animated and produced show. Yeah. So they have to pick what moments to actually show. Fair enough.
But yeah, totally fair. I'd rather they do that than have a shitty show where they try to shove a bunch of stuff in, Yeah. And also it leaves more windows of opportunity for fan fiction for people to write it themselves.
That's true. But also there's so much stuff with the hospital, and again we'll get to that at the end. But there's so much stuff with the hospital that I want to know the answer to, but we just never will. Yeah. I don't think at this point it's gone. It's too far past. You know?
Yeah. I mean, we'll talk. But one of the things being Octavia's reaction to that. I think we do know that there's going to be more Octavia in this season. She's in the trailer. Yeah. So maybe it will get referenced somehow.
Yeah, I hope so.
I don't think we've seen her since Seeing Stars. Mm-mm. So we might get to see what her reaction was to Stolas' whole thing, but yeah.
I hope so. I miss that girl.
Anyway, moving on. Androlphus is gay.
That's our next note.
That is
gay in capital letters.
Gay in capital letters. That is a faggot / neg.
/ neg.
is a note that we have written down.
Yeah. He was in the season 2 part 2 trailer, so we'll see more of him as well. Mm-hmm. He was also so gay in the season 2 trailer.
We'll also see the new guy Visago.
Yeah.
Who is even gayer, but /pause, I think? I think I like him. He seems fun. He seems like a fun little fruit.
Yeah, but also knowing this
him.
show, he could be. We could think he's fun, and then he could be like the ultimate villain or something.
Yeah.
But yeah, I'm excited to see more of him, and honestly, of Andrelphus too, because even though he's annoying, he's not as annoying as Stella.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And he doesn't take her bullshit.
Yeah, and he can knock some sense into her, or like doesn't. Yeah, like is not afraid to be like, no, you fucking whore, shut the fuck up. Like, and no one else does that. So I do like that aspect.
He's her brother, so he has that. Like,
yeah.
Yeah. Wait, brother or brother-in-law? No, brother.
Brother.
I don't care what your arrogant brother thinks.
Yes, brother, and also, yeah, it's like that family thing. It's like, well, we're family, so I'm allowed to talk shit about you.
Yeah.
Yeah. And then when Stryker comes in, like, to get Stolas, he shoots through his hat. So sad.
He shoots a hole through his freaking hat. And that's the worst thing that happens to Stolas in this episode.
Yeah. The torturing?
No. The stabbing? The hospitalization? No.
No.
Blitz not texting him back? Maybe.
Maybe. That brings us to Stolas and Blitz's phone call.
Yeah, which is... I love this phone call so much.
Yeah. So, Blitz picks up and says, hey, it's Stolas, bad time, or something like that. And then Stolas says, bad time yet again, meaning that this has been a response every time.
Which makes sense because Ozzy's happened. I'm willing to bet the only time they've seen each other since then is Seeing Stars, and that was like they're united to save their daughters kind of thing. But yeah, I very much get the sense that Blitz is being avoidant.
Yeah.
And
has been. Yeah. I think that too. I also do wonder, was this like a Stolas calls like once a month to check in? Is this like how, or is he calling him every single day, and every time Blitz is like bad time every single day?
Yeah.
Like I wonder what the dynamic has been like.
Yeah, it's also very possible that Blitz is actually busy a lot of that time,
yeah.
to be fair. And so it's also, like, another layer to their whole miscommunication, where Stolas is like, oh, really? A bad time? And Blitz is, like, killing someone on Earth, and he's like, yeah it is!
No, especially because if Stolas, like, is calling him at the same time every day, where he's doing field work every single day at the same time. Also, Stolas, what the fuck is Stolas doing with his days, you know?
That man eats his fizzos, or whatever.
No, he doesn't eat the fizzos, he eats dead rats. That's what he eats.
He eats dead rats. And just sits around and watches his telenovelas.
Yeah, and so, like, that's also not great for him.
No.
Get a hobby. Prince of we should get a hobby.
Yeah, seriously. Or like, what? He's gotta have a job, right?
Yeah.
Like,
I think he teaches Via.
Yeah.
But, also, Stolas being kidnapped, he's, like, bound onto this horse, so unbothered, so unworried about his well-being.
Unfazed.
Oh shit, am I in danger right now?
Yeah. He's just casually like, I'm tied to the back of a horse at the moment.
And Blitz says, lucky bitch.
Lucky bitch. Well, no, rather unlucky.
And then says, your little cowboy friend. And Blitz says, which one?
And then Moxie asks, how many cowboys do you know? Which I also want to know the answer to. Because this is the only cowboy we've seen Blitz interact with. And then, iconic classic line, Moxie says, what does he look like, your highness? And Stolas just thinks for a bit and then goes,
sexy?
That's Stryker, sir!
And then she, like, looks over, like, the side-eye emoji and just mouth slightly agape, just like...
Yeah. She can't blame him, though.
Yeah. And also, my favorite thing about that specific, like, thing between Millie and Moxie is that this is was a hired hand at Millie's parents' farm. Mm-hmm. That's how they met Stryker.
Yeah.
And
no one hated him more than Moxie.
Yeah, no one hated him more than Moxie. Stryker tried to kill Moxie twice.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
and Millie's like, and that was hot? But, yeah, of course, he's attracted to you, Millie, too. Like, for similar reason, I'm sure.
Yeah.
But, yeah.
Speaking of horrified looks, Blitz spells shot. He, like, talking about Luna's Helby's shot on the phone. He goes, SHOT, and Luna just has the most terrified, like, fear of God in her look on her face. It
turns to her pupil is, like, a pin, top of a pin, tiny, and just like the scary, violin sound.
Yeah. Also, there's a horse keychain on Blitz's rear view mirror. And then he also has a horseshoe keychain on his keys, and then a keychain that says Motel 666, which I don't know what motel. That's,
yeah.
I at first I thought I couldn't tell if it was attached to a key.
I was gonna say, does he just actively have a motel room at his disposal?
Does he live in a motel?
I don't think so.
I don't think so either.
I think where he lives is very apartment.
Yeah.
Just by layout. Mm-hmm. But I also wouldn't be surprised if he just had a motel room at the ready. Or maybe he was fucking bitches in a motel room. I don't know. We don't know.
Yeah. One of those things that may never ever be relevant.
Yeah.
But,
I would also love to think that when he stole Veronica's credit card and went to horse riding lessons, that they were in a motel and he just also took the key.
Yeah. Very possible.
I'm so excited to get to Apology Tour, but that's not what we're talking about today.
Next scene. Blitz and Luna at the hospital. Oh yeah, we're gonna talk about all of the hospital stuff with Blitz and Luna, and then all of the Stryker and Stola stuff, and then all of the stuff where Mark and Emily come in. We're gonna just take it in chunks, because it's easier that way, even though it's not chronological to the episode.
Yeah, I will say that this episode is very well cut in the sense, and paced in the sense that we see everything from all the characters and then they all come together. Like, it's very well done, but it's not helpful for our podcasting.
Yeah. So first big note, wealth and class divide.
Which is something we love to talk about, but it's so prevalent in this episode.
Yeah, this episode really is like, ooh, the themes.
Yeah.
Little detail right off the bat, the Helby's shot that Luna is getting is like a yearly requirement for Hellhounds, but Blitz was only able to schedule his appointment like 5 years ago, and he's just now getting to this appointment.
Yeah. And so that means that even though it's a yearly requirement, he can only get it every 5 years.
Yeah.
Which one implies that he made the appointment right when he adopted Luna, which is sweet.
Which is sweet. And also makes sense.
Yeah. And then, I don't know if you were very into this, if you want to take the class divide stuff, but I don't want to steal it from you.
I can't, I've lost where we are on the notes.
Oh, sorry.
You start talking and I'll pick up.
Okay. So this kind of parallels the real world thing of restriction of necessary medical care, and then also villainizing that. So being like, this is completely inaccessible and you can't have this, but then also making it illegal to not have it.
Yeah.
And
it raises the question of like, what repercussions are there for not getting this shot on time, if there are any? Is it like a mandated thing, like legally, or is it just like a, like, I don't know, are you barred from certain places if you don't have this shot? I feel like that's most likely.
Yeah, and also, assuming there's actually good reason for it to be a yearly thing, which is not always true.
Yeah, but it's meant to parallel a rabies shot.
Yeah.
So it feels like it is.
Yes, then that makes it so rabies spread more in communities that are less fortunate,
Yeah.
And so, yeah.
And just all hellhounds are on the bottom of the class ladder, hellhounds and imps. So,
but it's really interesting that this is specifically a thing where it's required every year, but you can only get it every 5 years because all hellhounds need it. So is it like hellhounds that are owned or servants of higher class that have more access to it?
Like Vortex, maybe?
Yeah.
Vortox, what's his name? That fucker. Veronica's
I think it's Vortox, but a lot of people say Vortex, so it's fine.
Yeah.
Anyway.
Yeah, like, because Veronica's a succubus, she's higher class than Blitz is, so maybe, like, Vortox is able to get in there easier.
Yeah, or, like, the bodyguards of the Goetias.
Yeah. Or is it, just, like... No, never mind.
He gave up.
I gave up.
Alright, moving on.
Yeah, I had another thought, and I lost both of my thoughts, so we'll just move on.
He's losing all he thoughts.
Yeah. Wait!
He got one back.
Hang on. Like, nope.
Lost it again.
I don't know. It's somewhere in my brain. 20 minutes from now, I'll bring it up if it comes back to me.
Okay, cool. So the next thing we're talking about is the woman and her kid that are in the hospital when Blitz and Luna get there.
Yes.
So we're presuming that they're Hellborn because they can't be sinners because we are in Sloth.
Yes, and sinners can't leave Pride. And they're very clearly higher class and race than Blitz, so they're not imps, so they must be above him in some capacity, so that leaves Hellborn as the only option that really makes sense.
Yeah, because they're not succubus, right?
Succubus counts as Hellborn.
Okay,
but the next up from that is, Goetia and Overlords.
Right,
they're not that high.
Yeah.
It doesn't seem like, at least.
Yeah, they seem like kind of like standard middle, maybe upper middle class in our world, at least.
Yeah.
Like that parallel.
Yeah.
The kid is on a leash, which I think is really funny, like one of those harness ones like kids get put on when, they run away at Disney, that kind of thing. So that's just something I noticed right off the bat. This kid's a little fucker. And this mom is really weird, because why would you put your kid on a leash?
Yeah. It's really giving weird-ass upper middle class.
Yeah. And then kid says, and we are saying that these parallel slurs, but we are gonna say them.
Yeah, they're not real life slurs.
Yes, I do. I just wanted to get that out of the way before I say it, and then I'm like, so is this a slur?
Yeah.
But the kid says, "Look, mommy, they let fire toads in here."
Yeah, and fire toads, because there's very much an obvious class divide in this scene, but then fire toads is based on looks.
Yeah.
Very clearly is a look-based thing, so it seems much more racially charged than just class charged. So it seems like a slur that's for imps. Which is crazy that this it's very telling of this little boy and his mother that a boy of his age knows that word and then also just says it so casually.
Especially, and the mom's reaction is she says, "Don't say that to their face, honey, wait until we're in the car."
Yeah.
So it's okay to say it, just don't say it to their face.
Yeah.
So that's said around him all the time. Mm-hmm.
It's taught hatred and racism.
it's bad.
It's bad.
And also specifically they let fire toads in here.
Yeah.
Is really interesting because is there places where imps aren't allowed?
Yeah.
Or is it just where that he's never seen an imp before, or that he doesn't expect an imp to be at a hospital because it seems like a nicer place? That
does make me wonder, is this because this seems like a nice fancy hospital. We haven't really seen any other. I mean, we see Stolas's later, but obviously Stolas's is gonna be a fancy hospital.
Stolas is at the same hospital in Sloth.
He is?
That's because he gets brought to it. And Blitz is there.
Oh, right. Yeah. Yes. Of course. So then, it must be fancy hospital.
Yeah.
So then why is Blitz going there, do you think?
I think it could be a lot of reasons. I think maybe he wants, the best care. Or maybe this is the only one that does Hellsby shots. I don't know for sure.
Yeah.
But also Blitz specifically making an appointment for this hospital as opposed to one in Pride or in, where's all of this episode in? Wrath.
Yeah.
Because he wants to make sure that the care is good also makes sense. Especially with his weird class thing that we'll get into.
Yeah. Speaking of Wrath, the woman assumes Blitz is 1, unemployed, and then 2, from Wrath, which we by now have a lot of, the understanding that Wrath represents, the lower class of the rings.
Yeah.
Where, Pride is, a, sort of, urban city-esque. Wrath is, low-income countryside sort of energy, and then, greed is crime, but money.
Yeah. Also, now that I think about it, we don't know a lot about Sloth, but Sloth being the home of upper middle class suburbia would make a lot of sense because it's taking life slow, the type of white people that you ask how's life and they say living the dream.
Yes,
that kind of shit
exactly
gives Sloth vibes.
It does.
And so that would make a lot of sense.
Yeah. But yeah, stereotyping, assumes he's from Wrath and unemployed, like, in conjunction with each other, just obviously thinks very little of him and associates that with those other two qualities.
Yeah.
So, yeah, there's racism across species I guess species is the words, like, between, like, imps, hellborn, sinners, etc. And then classism across the rings. And I'm sure there's also racism and classism within each individual ring. But, yeah.
Yeah, we already said a lot of the stuff that we have notes on, so we're like, what's happening? Yeah, so Blitz multiple times now has said he's specifically not from Wrath, but he does again in this episode. And, like, makes it very clear, like, I am not from Wrath, and that kind of, like, complex he's been building on, is really interesting to me because, like, because he's from Pride, does he feel he is better? And, like, also, on another limb of saying, like, on Moxie's side of it, is being from Greed better than being from Wrath? Because being from Wrath, is that the worst one? And so, like, because we know that Moxie was born in Wrath.
Yeah.
And moves to Greed.
Yeah.
And moving up in a mafia family and things like that that kind of mindset would make a lot of sense.
Yeah.
And then with Blitz, he's specifically a performer, like, paying his keep in Pride. Like, he's not in Wrath because he's deserving of being in Pride because he's this performer and he entertains and things.
And now he has this business that he started himself and is, like, you know, building a name for himself. With Moxie, it is interesting because we don't know exactly how long he lived in Wrath, though presumably not long, because, like, we see the flashbacks of him as a tiny child.
I would say, like, 5 years tops.
Tops, yeah. So, one, he probably doesn't have much connection to it at all, but then also, he's not proud to be from his mafia family, so, like, he, on an individual level, might think more highly of Wrath than of Greed.
Right, because Greed he knows what Greed is in and out, and he hates it.
Yeah.
But also, like, he lives in Pride now, and Blitz's thing is just between where he lives and where he grew up, and then this place that everyone assumes he's from, with a negative connotation. So, he's also probably going to think, oh, Wrath is bad, and I'm not from Wrath, I'm going to prove that I'm not from Wrath, because everyone negatively associates this with me. That being said, though, he knows that both Millie and Moxie were born in Wrath and has referenced it before. So how does that shift his view on them?
Yeah. Yeah.
It's a really interesting dynamic to me.
Yeah. Which calls her a cunt.
Next bullet.
Inadvertently calls her a cunt.
Oh, yeah, says, see you next Tuesday.
Yeah. And then the woman complains that her child is there. But then Blitz very reasonably retorts, okay, well, my daughter doesn't appreciate you calling her father things.
With air quotes.
With air quotes. Won't say the fire toads. He won't say that slur.
Or Rathian.
Or Rathian.
So he's called two things.
He's called two things. He won't say either of them.
Yeah, he also, like, the way he delivers that line, I feel like, is really important. That my daughter doesn't appreciate you calling her father ... things.
With air quotes, yeah.
Yeah. And is, like, kind of unsure of it, and is, like, has to think about it.
Yeah. It's, like, to me, because with this bullet point, we said, like, can he say these? Does he just not want to? To me, it leans more towards he doesn't want to.
Yeah.
I mean, Rathian, like, I don't know if Rathian's a slur. I think that might just be, it's used derogatorily in this way, but it's just a general descriptor.
Yeah.
But if he's not from Wrath, then, you know, he wouldn't want to use a derogatory word towards himself. Yeah. That he can't say, I'm sure. Right. But with fire toads, to me, it leans more towards not that he, like, knowing he can say it, but not wanting to.
Yeah, that's what it leans towards for me. And then also, I feel like in this moment you see him kind of, like, finally, because he just gets big mad at this woman, like he always does to everyone. But I feel like this moment he finally, like, we see him kind of, like, realizing, like, exactly what's being said to him. And, like, maybe not realizing, but, like, kind of the way he, like, takes it and he's, like, like, has to actually think about the response. He's not just screaming on a whim. He's not just going on autopilot like he does.
I want to know what his history is with being called, like, derogatory words based
Yeah.
on his race and class are, because that's not something this is the first time we see something like that explicit. We don't even see it in, like, childhood flashbacks at all or anything. Although it might sort of inadvertently explain the way that we see Blitz and Fizz treated by the people in Greed, specifically, like, the one shitty fan. If, like, the people in Greed think they're above the people from Pride.
Yeah.
You know, that maybe...
That's true.
Like, we didn't hear any slurs or derogatory words there, but it's very much like you're the performers and you're, like, you know, kind of more important than me in that way, but also, like, I look down on you and I don't care about being shitty to you.
Yeah, exactly. I think that's exactly it. Also, like, especially because Blitz is so proud of being from Pride, because, you know, he, like, earned his keep there. Like, I think part of him knows that, like, was his life a tiny bit different, he would be from Wrath. But he feels really necessary to defend that he's not from Wrath at every given moment, that someone assumes, or that anything. And it's really interesting.
I would want to know where his parents are from. Like, if they grew up in Pride or if they moved there for the circus.
I could 100% see it being a similar thing to Moxie's dad, where they made a name for themselves and they moved up.
Yeah.
And also, if that is the case, I want to know what Blitz's relationship to making a name for himself is, if his, say, dad was the one who made the name for the circus.
Yeah.
Because he's the ringleader, right?
Yeah. You know what would be really interesting? Because Blitz... There's something about the way Blitz says, I'm not from Wrath, in this episode, that has always been a little off to me, because, like, not that I think he's lying, it just... It seems, like, a little too defensive if he's just saying the truth. And, like, I understand why. Like, he has every right to be defensive in this scene, but I think it would be interesting if he was born, like, similar to Moxie, like, born in Wrath, but moved there, like, very shortly after, so he is technically from there, kind of thing. I think that would make it more interesting.
I think that would be really interesting. There. I think him being defensive, given the context of everything we're talking about, also makes sense.
Yeah, for sure.
But that would be really interesting. And honestly, Moxie and Blitz parallel each other so much, so it would make a lot of sense. Yeah. Also, the way that Moxie talks about it, like, saying that, like, let's assume that is the case. The way that Moxie talks about it is also really interesting, because like, Millie is from there. Her parents live there. Yeah. She's very recently not from there, especially as we've learned in Helluva, it's very recent. So she is from there. She's proud of it, right?
Yeah.
Moxie is born in Wrath, from Greed, doesn't like being from Greed, but also isn't, like, super proud about being from Pride. Like, he has this whole thing about, I was born here too, talking about Wrath.
Oh, yes, yeah.
So, like, he wants more of a connection to it. And Blitz wants absolutely nothing to do with it. Yeah. It's really interesting.
It's really interesting. It's like a little spectrum between the three of them.
Yeah.
The autism spectrum.
The autism spectrum.
Yeah. Also, back to the whole... This is a bit of an offside, but with Blitz and Moxie paralleling each other so much, I think in a lot of ways, this isn't, like, a revolutionary statement or anything, I just think a lot of the core of their characters really comes from them paralleling and mirroring each other. Like, I think that was the intention from day one, because, like, I've always thought that, but I remembered the other day that, in the Has-Been Hotel pilot, like, on YouTube, back from years and years ago, like, you know how it had the, like, Blitz and Moxie designs in there?
Yeah.
Like, before Helluva Boss existed. VivziePop has, like the full versions of those designs that VivziePop has released, it's, like, the boss and his lackey is, like, how it describes Blitz and Moxie, and they have always been set up to be a duo, in some sense, and so I just love the little ways that they cross each other and stuff. I think it's really central to both them and the show, and it's cool.
Also, Moxie being the lackey in the context of also his mafia family is really interesting.
Yeah, it makes me wonder how much she knew when that was, those designs were first made. Like, if she had any idea.
I would love to just sit across from Vivzy for, like, 3 hours and pick her brain. Yeah.
Yeah.
Because there's just so many things that, like, I don't need to know to understand the show, but I want to.
I want to. Maybe one day when the show is, like, finally finished, we, like... I was gonna say hunt her down. Not that.
We are not threatening you, we promise.
We just, we'd seek her out. We'd hopefully run into her one day in an elevator, and then
when we're big shots in LA.
When we're big shots in LA, or New York City or wherever, and then we're in the elevator with her, and we'd shut down the elevator and get us trapped, and then we'd talk to her for 3 hours.
That is holding her hostage. That is coming for her. How about we run into her in an elevator, we say, hey, would you like to have a chat? And then we set up a meeting.
Yeah, that works better.
Okay, anyway.
For legal reasons, I prefer Alex's idea.
Glad we got that settled. Okay.
Yeah. Anyway. Woman. Do we have names for the woman and her child? I don't think so. But anyway, the woman, going back to where we actually were in our notes, she asks to reschedule her meeting just because Blitz is bothering her, which is just, like, an obscene display of privilege when we know that Blitz had to wait 5 years for an appointment.
And the way she asks it makes it seem like she knows she can.
Yeah. She's just like, I'm gonna reschedule because this guy is bothering me. And it's like, okay.
Yeah. I don't remember if the person at the desk says anything, but it's worded like that's like, I am going to.
Yeah.
And it's like, okay, wow. Yeah. Like, she can just do that. And how long did she have to wait for that appointment? Like, an hour,
Yeah. Yeah, she made it that day. Granted, we don't know what her appointment is for.
Yeah.
So it could be...
But Helby's shot, that's a 15-minute appointment.
I mean, for Luna, it wasn't.
No, but, like, generally.
But, yeah. Yeah.
Also, the whole thing of, the Hellhound, specifically, like, Luna in this scene, and Hellhounds in general, the, like, being seen as aggressive, and Imps as well, is interesting, given the racial coding.
Yeah.
But yeah.
Yeah. Other sort of stuff in this scene?
Yeah, in the hospital. Yes. I said other intake stuff in the notes. They're in Slothering, we already said that.
Oh, Blitz fucking kills this woman.
Yeah, I don't know if he kills her, like, dead.
I like to think he does.
Okay.
And she falls in the Family Guy death pose.
Yeah. Which is a really good addition. I like that.
Really good, yeah. There's a lot of Blitz spelling in this episode.
Yeah, he goes up to he's upset about every 5 years thing.
Yeah.
And he says, the BULL shit, UMOTHER fuckers.
Yeah. Which I need to add that to my vocabulary. He also calls the receptionist a titty haver.
Which this man never ceases to surprise me with derogatory terms that he comes up with. Because also, for some reason, titty haver seems so inclusive.
Yeah. Yeah. It's
not misogynistic necessarily, but it is.
It's just, like, you could say it to anyone who's got tits.
Yeah, it's kind of just an observation, but it also has so much oomph on it.
He says it with sauce.
Yeah.
Yeah.
You titty haver.
I also need to start making just, like, general observations, but saying them with an attitude.
Yeah,
like,
with sauce.
You brunette. You pearly white teeth haver.
I was about to just call you a slur, but that is a derogatory term.
Yeah.
Okay, anyway.
Also, the receptionist can't read.
Yeah. How does she
do her job?
I don't know.
Like, okay. Disability rep? Like,
I guess. And also just, like, literally, my favorite part is that he's like, asks something, and she goes, oh, I can't read, just so
casually.
Yeah.
And it's her job to
read. To
read.
check in, yeah. That brings us to the Arsler joke.
Yeah.
Because that's in direct correlation to her not being able to read, too, which is...
Yeah, he starts saying the word and then transitions into really can't say that word anymore.
Yeah.
Which
could be an attempt at making up for the first time.
Yeah, which was in the pilot.
Yeah. Done bad.
Yeah, so either they just think this is funny
Mm-hmm.
to have a nod to this word. B, they don't think it's funny, but they think it's in character for Blitz, which is also bad, I think.
Mhm.
I think maybe just not make it in character
Yeah.
for your character to say the R slur. Or 3, like you said, they're trying to make amends for when they fully dropped the R slur in the pilot episodes, and this is their way of being like, oh, we can't say that anymore.
Yeah.
Our bad. But that is so
And, like,
ungenuine.
honestly, if you're gonna address it, I don't think this was a necessarily bad way to do it. But I also don't know that you need to address it in show.
Yeah.
Like, address it on Twitter. Like,
Yeah.
like it doesn't need to, or like, I would honestly have had them rather not address it than address it in show
Yeah.
in this specific way.
Yeah. Like, I think if you're gonna address something like that in the show, it has to be really clear what you're doing. Like,
Yeah.
you gotta, like, have another character be like, hey, don't say that word, here's why, you know?
Yeah.
Like, you gotta be really clear about it, whereas this, we just gave 3 reasons why this could have been included, and I'm sure there's more reasons we could think of if
Yeah.
we really wanted to. It's just not clear what they're going for, and so if they were going for an apology, it doesn't work. So,
Yeah. Also, just don't say the R slur and don't make fat jokes.
yeah, it's
Like-
not hard.
Like, I know that people will, like, rat on media and be like, it's not that hard, but usually they'll be like, don't do this, don't do this, don't do this, it's not that hard. These are 2 really simple requests.
It's really
It's
simple.
not that hard
Yeah.
to not make fat jokes and to not say the R slur.
Especially in a show that has disability rep, and
Yeah.
I was gonna say,
There's...
Vizzy Pop is infamous for and I don't necessarily just mean her, the person, but like,
Yeah.
her content is infamous for, you know, her little twig
Yeah.
characters with.
But there's, like... I mean, like, Luna's design specifically, a lot of people resonate with Luna's design and think it's very good.
Yeah.
But not the human one. Except for that she's tall.
Yeah, Luna's tricky because it's good that people resonate with it.
Mm-hmm.
I do also think it's, even if there wasn't the intent of sexualization when the
Yeah.
character was made, I feel like they definitely could have expected it, and
I
maybe
also
they could have
think-
been trying to subvert that. Like, I don't know,
That's
it's
true.
a little complicated. You
And
know?
subverting it, the show does try to subvert a lot, so that would make sense.
Yeah.
But I
Like-
think it was probably intentional.
Like, I don't think the show does sexualize Luna. Actually, I think she has canon ace, which hasn't been addressed in the show, but I think...
Yeah.
No, is that true?
No.
No, that's Octavia.
Yeah, Octavia's
Never
ace.
mind.
And fucking Mammon, but we'll get to that.
Yeah.
I am so upset about this, guys, but we will talk about that on a...
On a different day.
I had so much negative sauce to that.
Yeah, I don't think Luna is sexualized by the show very much.
Yeah,
I
but they do
think
make the joke in, like, the second episode, is that first episode?
Spring Broken, it's in
Okay,
third
yeah.
episode.
So, I don't know.
Yeah, and similarly with Millie, who's also not really that like, she's still pretty skinny, you know?
Yeah.
But, like, she's got some curves.
Yeah,
her,
she's
but-
skinny, but she's curvy.
Yeah, but I think, even if it's not in the show, I feel like a lot of merchandise really accentuates those, like, both Millie and Luna's bodies in a way that
Yeah.
doesn't always feel tasteful, like...
Yeah,
if it's-
official merch, a little, like, a bit, like, definitely, but then also, like, the fan merch
yeah.
is fucking crazy.
Yeah, it's insane. Like, we ordered a sticker pack off of fucking Amazon that had, like... It was one of those kind of inherently shitty sticker packs, and that it
Like,
just
500 of them.
500 and it takes stickers from, like, various artists across the internet,
Yeah.
so, you know, kind of inherently unethical. But there were so many of Millie naked, and it's disturbing.
Just fully naked.
Fully naked.
Yeah. So...
The point is, in terms of, like, body representation and portrayals, not the best, but
yeah.
they still...
I think with the thing with the R slur, I was gonna say the R joke, that's
The R
not.
joke.
The R slur and fat jokes are Fizz as a character existing. With both of those things being addressed.
Yeah.
you can't have R slurs or nods to R slurs and then have a canonly disabled and well represented and trying to actually make conversation about disability rep through this character. You can have both of those.
Yeah, and to be clear, in R slur from the protagonist of the show. It's not like it's a shitty villain saying
it's from the
Blitz.
which Blitz is shitty, but that's another thing is I feel like what storyline what they're probably trying to do with this specific nod to the R slur is that they're trying to show his growth, but I just think it didn't need to.
No,
happen.
I don't think it's. I don't know, because you can have, everyone's, as Blitz says, everyone's shitty. Hello, we're in hell. Yeah, but
hello, we're in hell.
If you want people to relate to and enjoy your protagonist, they gotta be shitty in some ways and not shitty in others.
Yeah.
And if you want to show him being shitty in one way, but then growing from it, this is not the way to do it. Another thing, sorry. With the whole... like, Fizz being, there's a thing about Mammon, calling him fat in a negative way, and then that, they have that side of the coin, but then that's also complicated because Fizz at no point is fat. He's always super skinny, and so is Moxie, who is always the butt of the fat jokes, and, which is already, those jokes are bad enough.
Yeah.
But then it's the refusing to actually... prominently have a fat character while still making those, even if the jokes are being made in a not untasteful way, like with, Mammon calling Fizz fat, and that's, it's shown to be, he's trying to body shame him in that way, and we're supposed to understand that it's bad. It's still, okay, but they're still not quite there.
And also, a lot of the fat shaming does come from Luna, who is an asshole. But, towards Moxie. But also, the thing with Moxie's, the whole dynamic specifically, is also at one point, Blitz, goes along with it as well. Which is,
it's,
you can't have your protag do that to one itty-bitty tiny character that is his friend, and then defend an itty-bitty skinny character that is also your friend in a different situation. That's, you can't fat shame and then defend against fat shaming.
Yeah.
In, the same exact situation. It's not the same exact, but you get what I'm saying. And also, the thing with Moxie is there's, that whole scene where he's, goes up to Luna and is I weighed myself and I lost pounds. Yeah. It's why are we talking about this?
Yeah, it's that's supposed to be, funny, because that is a horrifying response, actually.
Yeah, that's... Bros get in, body issues.
Yeah.
Also,
I know we have to move on.
Yeah.
One last thing from me. Going back to what I said about... Luna and Millie's bodies being sexualized. I want to, just clarify that a woman... a woman...
When a man and a woman...
I'm not trying to say or imply that a woman being sexual within her own body is a bad thing inherently. Yeah. Because obviously that's not true. So, when it comes to, the official show merch and stuff that has, Millie and or Luna being, sexual and, accentuating their bodies in sexual ways, that's not a, oh, the character shouldn't do that. It's, it feels a little bad when that's what the creators of the show are doing. And then also... that's the only way that they show off those kinds of bodies in the show.
Right,
I just wanted to clarify that.
No, that's a very good thing to clarify, because that, in my mind, that was very clear, but...
Yeah.
Obviously, because, I know us.
Yeah.
But no, that is... Yes.
Yeah. I hope that made sense.
Yes, I think it did. Also, there are a lot of... context, I think, where Millie specifically is, in a sexual situation, usually in adjacent to Moxie, or, jokes like that are made towards her. Not that much, actually, but that is different, I think, because that is exactly what you're saying. It's, her personal sexual experience, and so that's not sexualizing the character.
Yeah.
Um,
It's also just that Luna and Lily both get so little as it is.
yeah.
So, it's bad all over with the women in Helluva Boss. I'm gonna be so honest. It's bad all over.
Yeah, it is. I want to make one more note about this.
Go for it.
Going back to the Fizz thing with, so we addressed the Arsler thing, but with the fat jokes too, with Fizz specifically, I did just want to address, there's a big thing online right now, where I'm not 100% sure about this, so that's why I'm saying a big thing online, where Fizz gained weight in the most recent episode, because his design is a little different. I don't know necessarily if it's a weight change. I would like to see it more consistently and or more clearly if that is the case.
Yeah.
Because I think it could also just be his outfit.
Yeah, no, I saw something like that. It was either a YouTube short or something. I don't know, something stupid. But
I've seen post after post after post about it, so that's why I'm bringing it up.
Yeah. And I saw the side-by-side of, like, Fizz in Oops and Fizz in Full Moon. Yeah. And I did see the difference. But again, one could be an outfit thing. Like, someone in the comments was like, he could... Or, the first picture was from the musical special. Yeah. So someone was like, he could be wearing, like, a corset or, like, some sort of performance thing. And that's why he looks more pointy in the middle. So that could be true. And also, even if that is meant to be an intentional weight change, it is not obvious enough, like, unless it does continue, and then it's, like, a very subtle, like, totally cool, awesome, but if this is their way of being, like, look, a character gained weight in a positive way, it's like, where? Show me a little bit more.
I think this could be a good start.
I think so, too.
Especially if we're not gonna see Fizz a lot, which I don't think we really are for the rest of the season.
Yeah.
I think this is a good nod, like, look, he's helping Ozzy, he's doing well, he's starting to gain weight, like, I think if that's the case, and then we see him gain weight later, then I think that is good for now. Yeah. But yeah, that, and then also the fact of, like, this is still a super skinny character. Yeah. Even with the weight gain. But yeah, I would love to see it be more progressive, because that's also important of not, like, having it just be, like, super quick either, because, especially with, like, performers coming out of that, like, that is a common thing that happens, and that's also a slow changing thing that happens. So I would love to see that happen.
Yes. I especially as a show that is much inspired by beloved BoJack Horseman.
I was gonna say it's not a Diane new one where it's so immediate.
Yeah, but even it's immediate to us, the viewer. Like, it's within an episode, but that's over the course of a few months.
Yes, I was gonna say that, and then I was like, wait, no, it's not immediate because we just don't see it. Yeah, but if we do get to see it with Fizz, because we timeline wise hasn't been multiple months since the music special. I don't think.
Well, I don't think we really have any idea how much time has passed. So
maybe this is our indication. Yeah. Anyway.
Yeah. We should move on.
Yes, we should. But sorry, I got...
No, me too.
Fizz gets brought up, I get crazy.
That all felt very important. Yeah. It just took us a while.
Circling way back to the hospital, the receptionist, where he's like, Blitz, and she can't find it. And then he says Blitzo, and she immediately knows, so she can read.
That bitch can read. I think she's a cunt.
Yeah, but the... strong O. Blitzo.
Oh, Blitz's eye twitching.
Yeah, and then she calls when they're ready for him, she says, "They're ready for you, Mr. O."
Mr. O. It's fucking insane.
Yeah.
Yeah, in reality it's probably like this woman has no idea about his life.
Yeah.
It's probably totally not meant to be harmful or anything. She's just being silly.
But also it's very clear that he does not like it.
Yeah.
So
he starts growling and shit.
Yeah. He gets feral straight up.
Prepares his gun.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Hard
pivot.
Yeah.
Luna is so afraid of the shot.
Yeah, like I know that she's like meant to parallel a dog and dogs are afraid of shots, but like so intensely afraid. Mm-hmm. Like to the point where this doctor who sees hellhounds all the time, apparently, is not expecting any level of it from her.
Yeah, he's like, oh no, I'm prepared, and then it takes them however fucking long to actually do it. We don't have this in the notes, and we might have brought this up before, but the theory because we do have like trauma related question mark, and the one of the theories is like, did she witness other dogs being put down in the pound, and like that's what this reminds her of.
Yeah, and like the thing is too, it's like she probably does trust Blitz that this is gonna be whatever he says it's gonna be, right? And like that, like he's bringing her, but also like she doesn't know if they're lying to him, you know, like she doesn't know what's in that shot.
Yeah.
So it's a fair thing to be afraid of.
Yeah, even if it's not as intense as like seeing other hellhounds being put down in the pound, like the pound doesn't have the vibe of like they were very kind and, you know, gentle with all of them. So, you know, if she had to do something like a shot before, probably wasn't as like nice as Blitz was about it.
Yeah.
Like him calming her down in the waiting room and stuff, like there probably wasn't anything like that.
Yeah, it's probably just time for a shot. And also, like, I imagine if they don't have regular Hellbeast shots or regular any kind of shot in a situation like the pound, this specific pound in Hell of Boss, to be clear, that they probably had a lot of, like, after action stuff. Like, how often did she get sick and things. So, yeah.
Another hard pivot.
Hard pivot back.
Blitz sits so gaily.
Crosses his fucking legs, kicks his little feet.
Yeah.
Because they don't reach the ground.
Feet don't reach the ground. Kicks his little feetsies.
And then the doctor, when they go into the room, says their names wrong.
Yeah.
Calls them Bingo and Tuna.
I think every time he says their names, he says something different, and it's wrong every time.
But he's still confident. Oh, it's Bingo and Tuna.
Yeah.
Whitewashing their names are a parallel to it.
Yeah, if this was in any other episode, I might write it off as just, like, a silly little gag.
Yeah.
But in this episode, which is so heavily the themes of the racism and classism, it's like, this feels like a real-world parallel.
Yeah.
So that's fun.
That's fun. Anyway, Striker and Stolas, even more fun.
Stolas. The little imps go so fucking hard singing their little song. God.
We're at 57 minutes and we just realized that.
Whew.
Yeah, the imps go so hard singing their song. They're so into it.
They're so fucking cute. The song slays.
Shut the fuck up, says Striker.
Shut the fuck up! He says this is, like, the millionth time he's heard it, so how often, like, does he just, every time he gallops into Wrath, there's a song waiting for him?
Yeah, are they just waiting by his little cave?
Yeah.
His little fanboys?
Yeah. The imps do start trying to sing the song to Millie, like, when her and Moxie are coming through, like, immediately, and she shuts them down right away, as if she knows it's gonna happen.
Yeah, no thank you.
I like to think that anytime anyone steps foot in Wrath, like they see a wanted poster of Striker, and they're just like, oh, who's this? And they're just like, it's Striker!
Most likely that's exactly what happens. But it's like, is it this specific trio of imps that do this all the time to the point where Millie knows them, or is this just a common thing for very tiny imps to do in Wrath?
Maybe they do it everywhere. Yeah. I don't know.
But yeah, she immediately is like, no.
No.
Shut the fuck up.
Yeah.
Yeah, and then later she's so nice to them. Like, after she gets the information, she goes, thank you kindly.
Yeah, her southern charm comes out.
But, like, she's so, like, not taking their shit, but also being, like, just this, please. Yes. Just so aggressively kind.
Striker's voice actor is different. He was originally voiced by Norman Reedus, who is, the fucking guy from The Walking Dead. So
fair enough.
Fair enough, hard to book him. He was probably
a COVID casting.
But I like the new guy.
I do too. I didn't at first.
Yeah.
Because I do think that the other one's stronger, because obviously. But I like this one now.
Yeah, I really like the way Stryker sings, like, back with the original voice actor when we first meet him in Harvest Moon.
Sweet victory.
Yeah, I love that fucking song. And I don't think we've heard him sing since then.
No, I don't think so.
Yeah, so that would be the real decider for me. But I do like the new guy. It takes some getting used to.
Also, I think when I think of Stryker, the thing that gets stuck in my head is, shut the fuck up! Yeah. And I like the way he delivers it, so.
Yeah. And then Stolas.
Stolas, a stupid fucking guy.
Stolas says, how does one get their own theme song?
Bro has a motif.
Bro has a musical motif.
Musical motif that turns into a theme song / ballad.
Yeah.
That also has a separate musical motif for his gay little lover.
Mm-hmm.
And he asks, how does one get a theme song?
Be gay and sad? Like,
yeah.
I don't know.
Or gay and angry.
Gay
in
and
Stolas's case. I mean, Stryker's case.
Yeah. But then, and the... Not to read, like, so much into this, but this led me thinking, is the music in this show diegetic? Meaning, can the characters in the show hear the music that's playing around them?
Mm-hmm.
Obviously in this case, like, Stryker can hear these, like, they're physically singing to
Yeah.
him, but, like, the background instrumentals and stuff, because what happens with Stolas' motif is that it's just a motif that plays, like, the instrumental in the background when he's on screen, but then in the circus he sings along to it with the fucking Owl in a Cage ballad.
Mm-hmm.
So can they hear the fucking music? And if so, Stolas, you fucking know you have a motif, you fucking...
But then he must know he has a motif because he sings his fucking ballad to the motif.
Exactly, he must know.
But then also the whole thing with the singing too, now that you say that, I think I would have to go through song by song, but I think at least most of the time that the characters actually sing, it is heard by other characters. Which is really interesting because a lot of times with these kind of shows, the songs are just treated like a conversation.
Yeah.
Happened, like they don't address that they were singing. But like Owl in a Cage, Stella says something, this is acknowledged. Is there any other songs that they're like clearly singing? Other than The Bad Trip, that doesn't count.
Yeah.
I mean, Fizz is everything, but that's clearly
performance,
him.
Yeah. I'm curious about the Blitz and Stolas duet in Full Moon.
Yeah.
Because, well, that's a duet, but they don't know they're singing together.
Yeah. And also them just independently singing makes a lot of sense. Like, as they're getting ready.
And also they're singing to very different styles.
Yeah.
To very different tunes. So it's not like a thing where it's like, how do they know to both be singing in that way? Like, it's different enough that it could be natural.
Yeah.
So it's really interesting.
It is really interesting, because it really subverts the, like, classic, like, musical show kind of thing, because it's, yeah.
There's also, in this episode, like, later, like, the music that plays during the fight and then the shot montage, that's on, like, a radio. Like, we see that. So it seems like there's a lot of thought put into whether or not the music can be heard.
Yeah.
I wonder about, Crashing a Motherfucking Wedding, because that's very much just background music, like, no one there is singing it, but I love to think that they can hear it.
Oh, no, they 100% can, because it's on the car radio.
Oh, it's on the car radio.
Yeah.
You're right.
So everyone died to that song.
Yeah, that's fucking amazing. It could have been Lululand.
Lululand. I know we said this, but the fact that he changes it is so fucking funny to me.
Funny. Lululand. No.
Oh.
I'm trying to... This is gonna stick with me now. I'm gonna have to go back through and find all of the songs. I don't know what we're missing. There's the one in the Murder Family where the class sings a song, but it makes sense that a class of small children would be singing a song that they learned.
Yeah, I think it is really intentional. I think it is diegetic.
I think it is diegetic.
Except for maybe the motifs, because those are also used as transitions.
Yeah,
so
but Stolas singing along to his motif
makes you think it's diegetic.
It really does.
But who the fuck is playing it? Just doo-ba-doo-ba-doo, the angels.
Well, it could also just be a natural existing thing of the world they live in.
Which is really cool.
We
will get into that on another date, because we do not have time to be getting more into that.
Yeah. Stolas is wearing gay-ass shorts. I own those shorts. Like, straight up, like, we have the same pair of shorts. So.
What does that say about you?
I'm a faggot.
Alright. Glad we cleared that up.
Yep. Sorry, go ahead.
Stolas is, when he gets kidnapped and is, like, tied up and all that, he is just constantly criticizing Stryker's murder tactics. Starting with, train tax, really? Seems a bit cliche, doesn't it?
Yeah.
First of all, cunt. Second of all, Stryker says, it's a classic.
And Stolas says, is the giant statue of yourself also a classic?
And then, I'm just impressed you seem to want to suck your dick so badly.
Yeah.
Like, Jesus Christ. And then also, the internalized, or maybe not even internalized, just outward classism, saying, wouldn't a holy bullet have sufficed, or could you not afford one of those?
Yeah. Which is also so interesting because that is what Stryker tried the first time.
Yeah. But Stolas doesn't know that.
Stolas doesn't know that, which it did not, like, cross my mind that Stolas didn't know about the first assassination attempt until Apology Tour, when Blitz let it slip. I was, like, I had the same reaction as Stolas. I was like, oh shit! He didn't know that! So yeah, he fully doesn't know that here, which adds a layer.
You knew someone wanted to kill me.
No, I didn't, who said that? Yeah, but if it's internalized classism, it is barely internalized. That is, like, surface level, like...
Yeah, it's one of those things, too. It's surface level, but also has he been in situations where he had to act like this, or was he trained, like, you're going to get kidnapped, you are royal, this is how you act, kind of thing?
I don't get that vibe because he's shocked that he's in any amount of danger.
That's true.
So it doesn't seem like he's been prepared for anything like this.
That's true. I didn't think about that.
Yeah. So to me, it just seems like just another...
bitch.
He's a bitch, and this is, like, a product of the way he's grown up. Just the many, many factors.
Yeah.
Because... Yeah. The Blitz and Stolas dynamic post Full Moon and Apology Tour is so fucking interesting to me because they're both right and they're both wrong, and it's so fun because they it's interesting because Blitz thinks that he's right but also understands the ways that he's wrong, like after Full Moon, like he's trying to apologize and stuff, and he's, like, realizing that he didn't do things the best, but Stolas does not realize he's wrong, and that is just so fundamental to how the two of them are, I think.
Yeah, and it is really interesting because I think not everybody, but a big chunk of the fandom doesn't view Stolas as doing anything wrong, and I find that really interesting.
It's so interesting.
Because he is put in a very, not only a good light, but also in a victim's light. When he's not, like, he is a victim, of course, but he's not entirely the victim.
Yeah. And like, the way, like, when Blitz says that, like, the thing about Stolas looking down on him, and Stolas is like, when have I ever? But it's, like, it's all there.
All the time,
all the time. Like, he just doesn't realize
And also, when Blitz... So Stolas calls out Blitz's flaws a lot, and asks him to change, and he doesn't for a while, but then he does. Start to. Stolas, his immediate reaction to Blitz calling out any of his flaws is to just, like, deny it and literally force him out of his house, his space. Yeah. It's crazy. Yeah. And we'll get to this. We cannot get into this right now.
Yeah, I'll save it. Yeah. I'm just pressing you want to suck your own dick this badly. Stryker takes Stolas' critiques as a dig on his class.
Yeah, there's some things that are definitely a direct dig on his class.
Yeah, like could you not afford those?
Yeah. But everything is a response about the class, and then it builds up to the monologue of, not every ring has some fancy-ass city with fancy-ass mansion that only royals get to live in. Some of us have hard lives, and some of us have everything we care about taken away from us by fuckers like you.
The Stryker backstory. Give me the Stryker backstory.
Slams credit card on table.
Slams credit card. What specifically has been taken from him? Did he lose? He's gonna parallel Blitz.
He already fucking parallels Blitz.
I know, that's what I'm saying. He's gonna have a circus fire equivalent, but it's gonna be some royal's fault or some shit or something. I don't know. I'm just spitballing here. Yeah. I mean, some of us have everything we care about taken away from us by fuckers like you. Blitz had fucking everything taken away from him. Not by fuckers like Stolas, but, you know.
By fuckers.
Yeah.
Fuckers being emotions.
Yeah. Yeah, and then there's, all you royals ever do is try to talk over us.
Yeah, and this is after he says, you can't talk over me multiple times. Like, Stolas keeps doing these, not only these, like, digs and these critiques, but also, like, being, like, the stuff about Blitz and the stuff about, like, just kind of, like, keeping his stone face thing. And he goes, you can't talk over me, you can't talk over me. And then it builds up to all you royals ever do is try to talk over us. So it's like him trying to take back that power. Like, I have the power now.
Yeah, I fucking love Stryker. So many of the villains in this show are just straight up unlikable.
Yeah.
The people of Tumblr would disagree. But I just...
Stop trying to fuck Stella, she is an abuser. Anyway.
Abuser. I don't think you like that sex. Like, I don't think it'd be good. Yeah. And she's just stupid. So many of the villains are just stupid.
Yeah.
Mammon, stupid. Like, they're good at being villains, but...
I was gonna say, the problem about Crimson is he's stupid and so unlikable, but he's good at being a villain.
Yeah, he serves. Like, Crimson sucks, but, like, I do enjoy him as a character. Like, there's nothing really redeemable about him, but I still enjoy him. Versus, like, Stella or Mammon, where, like, they do their purpose, but I don't, like, care about them in any capacity, really. But then Stryker fucking rules, and I fucking love him, and I want more of him, and he's cool.
Yeah, and I honestly, like, not that he needs to be redeemed, because I like him as he is, but, like, I could see him building up to becoming, like, part of the crew, you know what I'm saying? Like, he's a lot more adjacent to the main characters, like, moral-wise and just character-wise in general, than our other villains.
Yeah, a Stryker redemption would be fun. A Stolas, like, kind of villain arc would be really fun, I think.
Yeah.
Like...
It's gonna go one way or the other, yeah.
Yeah, I think, or, like, he gets worse before he gets better situation.
Like, he really steps into his role in royalty and gets really, really shitty.
Yeah. Yeah. Because I think, even though Stolas is very much in the wrong between him and Blitz, like, I mean, they're both in the wrong, but I think... I don't know, I think Stolas needs to reach the same level of, like, being shitty and then realizing it. And so if he had, like, a villain arc where he, like, not even a villain arc necessarily, just, like, a realization that he's been objectively really shitty, and it's not Blitz for once, I think would be fun.
I think also if Via called him out right now. Yes. Anything to do with Via would change it. And we do see Via scream at him in the Season 2, Part 2 trailer. So, it might be something like that. But also a villain arc, I think, would be really cool. Yeah. Another thing about Stryker, though, is I don't know if he needs to be redeemed. Oh, no. Because if he wasn't attacking Stolas, I don't think we'd read him as a villain.
No, not at all.
Because he's doing the exact same thing that IMP is. His target is just royals instead of Earth. Yeah. Or instead of other sinners. Yeah. And, not sinners, but, like, you get it. Yeah.
Yeah, the IMP is a fucking insane business. Yeah. If they weren't the protagonists of the show, like, if we were, I don't know, from the perspective of the cherubs, you know, they'd very obviously be the villains. The granted, more recently the cherubs have taken a turn for the worse, but, like, you know, the moral... The levels of morality are very obvious. Yeah. But we still...
Yeah, and picking IMP to be the protagonist is a very interesting choice, like, story-wise. But I could also see, like... I could see Stryker changing his choice of victim and immediately being not a villain anymore. I could see Blitz... if he's really, really wronged by Stolas at some point, switching IMP to be with Stryker. Like, I could see a lot of different things happening. Like, they're very adjacent to each other. Yeah. Yeah.
I like Stryker. I think, both a redemption and a complete lack of redemption could both be equally fun. Yeah. And I genuinely have no idea which way it's going to go. So
I don't either. I think it could be really interesting if there was no redemption and people join him. And especially because he's, like... I mean, I don't know if he's the main villain, but he's definitely, like, one of them. He's up there.
Yeah. And you know what else is that killing Stolas, not his idea at all. Like, he has his own motivations and hatred for Stolas, but he's hired to do that. You know? Like...
Another thing, though.
Mm-hmm.
He's hired by Stella, and he's a freelance murderer, I presume.
Hitman.
Yeah, freelance murderer. But, okay, well, because Hitman can also be an employed thing. He's freelance. Did you bookmark freelance murderer?
Yeah.
That's what he is. Because that leads me into my next point. Was he not just hired by Crimson?
Yes, he was.
So he is a hired hitman, but he's taking a job from Stella. What was he hired from Crimson to do? Was it freelance work? Or is he a hitman for the Mafia now?
I don't know, man. You're looking at me really intensely and it's midnight.
I need to know the answer.
I don't know. No, that is interesting, though. Because when we see him, we'll fucking get to Oops, but when we see Crimson and Stryker talking, they, when that meeting is happening, that, like, we see that in media res, like, the whole thing with Blitz and Fizz happening down below, total coincidence.
Mm-hmm.
So, Crimson hiring Stryker is probably for Moxie.
Yeah.
Like, most definitely, I feel.
To kill him, to find him, so we don't know.
Yeah, just, considering how X's and O's ends with him throwing a dagger at a painting of Moxie's face.
Probably to kill him.
Yeah. So, and then he only kidnaps Blitz and Fizz to prove his merit.
Yeah.
But I could see it being
Crimson, and this could be a joke, but Crimson does say hired.
That could also just be for this one job, though, I think.
That's
I don't think
true.
that necessarily means you're welcome to our Mafia.
Yeah. Well, again, he could be not part of the Mafia. He could be a freelance murderer hired by the Mafia.
That's just a hitman.
But again, it's freelance, because there's hitmen in the Mafia that are part of the Mafia.
You're looking at me so intensely.
I have intense thoughts.
There's hitmen in the Mafia who are part of the Mafia.
And that is not freelance work.
No.
That is organized crime. That is organization work. They're employed by an organization, Adi.
You're not wrong. I just don't think the alternative is called freelance. I think it's just a non-organized crime. I don't know what the term is, but it's not.
Okay, but IMP is freelance, canonically.
Fuck, you got me there. You do got me there.
They're freelance murderers, that's what they are, and I really like it.
Yeah. Are we stopping here?
I think we have to.
We have to.
It's 12:30 a.m. We need to stop.
We need to turn the fucking fan on in here. I'm sweating to death.
Yeah, the AC turned off, I think, even though it was really cold earlier.
God damn it.
But anyway. Yeah, we are gonna do the last 3 pages of our notes next episode.
Yeah, don't worry, we accounted for this in our scheduling, so, we did. We had a spare week in there.
Okay.
Yeah.
I look at it. No, we didn't.
We did. So we should still be able to get caught up by Halloween. Yeah. Quick business. Big Cartel stickers. We have stickers on Big Cartel.
Buy them.
That link is in our link tree, which is on our Instagram at AA Discussions.
It's also in our newsletter.
Which you can get to through our Instagram at AA Discussions. Also, if you want to financially support us, but you don't want a sticker, yeah, freak, you can donate to our Ko-Fi.
Did I write you freak?
In our link tree, which is in our Instagram at AA Discussions.
I'm laughing at you saying that, but for the third time, I'm also laughing at the fact that I wrote you freak.
Yeah.
I don't have any recollection of doing that.
If you want to support us emotionally, you can follow our Instagram.
You're reading them word for word. I'm just going to let you do that.
At AA Discussions. We also have a YouTube. I don't know if that's on our link tree yet. I think I did put it on there.
It is. I put it on there.
So on our link tree at AA Discussions on Instagram and our TikTok. Is that on our link tree?
There's nothing on our TikTok.
There's nothing on our TikTok.
No, there's one video on our TikTok.
There's one video on our TikTok.
And it was my first time using CapCut, and it's not good.
Alex will add our TikTok to our link tree, which you can find on our Instagram at AA Discussions.
Or you can just look up our link tree with the link tree little thing you type in that's spelled weird.
Who the fuck is gonna do that? Anyway, you can also check out Audie, my new personal professional writing Instagram. It's at Audie Lagara. That's my name. At AUDIELAGARRA. That's my new professional Instagram. It's for writing and bullshit. You could plug yours.
You can check out my old kind of professional writing Instagram at Alex Preggy. That's Alex Preggy. I'm dyslexic. You can't laugh at me. That's ableist. Linked in our Instagram at AA Discussions.
Also, subscribe to our newsletter. We already said that one. It's on our Instagram at AA Discussions.
We planned the Helluva Q&A beforehand.
Which striker voice actor do you prefer?
But also, maybe we should save that. No, we talked about that this time.
Yeah.
I want to ask the fan base if what they think about the Fizz design also. What do you want to do?
How about, we'll do striker, because that's more relevant.
Okay.
But if you want to let us know about the Fizz design, you can message us on Instagram at AA Discussion.
That was number 7?
I don't know.
But yeah.
One for every ring in hell.
True. Wow. Full circle.
I gotta go.
Just like the rings of hell. But genuinely, you can message us about that. We'd love to hear your thoughts.
Yeah.
Yeah. We need to stop recording because we're getting a case of the sillies.
Yeah. Case of the gaps.
They don't even get that.
No, and they're not supposed to get it. Okay.
You gonna say your classic sign off?
I'm waiting for you to get ready to cut me off because you always almost cut me off. Stay sexy.